This Boss Rush Spotlight is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boss Rush Spotlight. I'm your host, the Blaze187Ace. Joining me, special guest from Black Gamer League. You guys, I am in the presence of awesomeness. He's the one, the only, Blaze187Ace. Just known as Blaze. Hello, good sir. How are you?
What's going on, man? I'm glad to be here representing Black Gamer League. We out here trying to spotlight, more people like us out there, glad to be on the podcast, man. I'm glad you brought me on. I'm here to chat it up with you, man.
Thank you for making time. I know you guys are very busy. It's competition season. I just found out that Evo opened up its registration. I'm just like, oh man, it's about to get hot in this mug. And I'm shocked that Street Fighter 6 is that quickly in Evo. And it's just been out, no, not even for a month yet.
Yeah. It's like, I think it just hit its first month and 2 million copies already sold within that first month is like incredible. So Street Fighter is definitely back. According to like what they've been saying with the Evo registration, it's looking like it's going to be close to like 6,000 people that signed up just for Street Fighter alone, and over 9,000 altogether. So Evo is going to be rocking, man.
I am so shocked about that. And we're gonna get into that because it's still. I wonder, is Smash Brothers still a game that is missed at Evo and everything?
you know, ever since the Sony acquisition and everything, Nintendo has kind of
Mhm.
distanced itself from Evo. So we don't know what's going to happen, but Nintendo themselves are the ones that pulled out. So who knows if it'll ever come back? But I don't think it's at Evo this year.
It actually is kind of weird because Killer Instinct is not there anymore, neither, right?
Oh,
I don't think so.
KI's no more. Everybody was shocked that MK11 made it in, and well, they had to bring it in because you got the announcement of MK1. So MK11 coming back in there. I know Melty Blood's in there. Of course, you got the big three, which is Street Fighter, Tekken, and Guilty Gear right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the biggest change that everybody is like up in arms about, instead of top 8, is going to be top 6 across the board. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all this stuff plays out.
Oh, wow. Well, before we get all into that, Blaze,
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, how did you even get into gaming? Like, where is your starting point in gaming?
Well, for me, gaming has been a part of my life ever since I was 5 or 6 years old. My mom bought me a Nintendo years ago, so that lets you know how old I am. I'm up there. I'm an old school gamer, 36 years old. So
No, you're
I'm
not.
36. So I've been gaming for a long time. So
Uh,
first system I got, NES. The first 2 games I had were Mario 3 and Tetris. So Tetris to me is one of my all-time favorite games. Like if I see a Tetris game, I'm going to play it. Um that was basically my start. I was hooked ever since. And then I want to say it wasn't until the Genesis era when I got introduced to fighting games, specifically with Street Fighter
mm,
2, like a lot of people did. But the Genesis is the era where I would say like I absolutely fell in love with gaming because of Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage is my all-time freaking favorite. Like, where
Everybody already know that he said the magic words. Like that's all it took with Streets of Rage.
so right there, if it focuses, the signature edition, I had to get it. I
I've never seen that edition.
yeah, like when I say Streets of Rage is my favorite of all time, when they
Hmm.
announced this and me being the Xbox primary gamer, like no collector's editions ever come to Xbox. So when this dropped for
Right.
Streets of Rage 4, I was like, yo, I have to get it because we
Yeah,
always miss out.
yeah, because
So
I
this
ordered
has
my oh go
the head this the headband that comes with it.
ahead.
They got these pins that came with it, which are
Oh, those
super
are
dope.
nice.
And as you can see, I haven't opened up any of these yet. I even still have the I even still got the game sealed up. I haven't opened this up yet either. I bought this digitally so I didn't have to open up the game.
Same,
And
same thing. I got mine digitally, but I had ordered mine. I had ordered the Switch version.
then the
Ooh,
soundtrack
the
is in here
soundtrack.
too. And then on my wall, they have a piece of artwork that came with it. And I
Uh huh.
already framed it and put it on my wall. So yeah, Streets of Rage, if it wasn't for this series right here, I probably would not be like into gaming as much as I am. And
Shoot.
actually, Blaze from this game is where I got my name from.
Nice. And see, Streets of Rage 2, like I beat Streets of Rage 1. Loved it. Streets of Rage 2 was just on a whole new level. It's still one of the games I feel like Nintendo could never do. Like
Yep.
music wise, gameplay wise, level design. I'm like, this is something Nintendo cannot touch. I play Streets of Rage 2 on the Sega Genesis like religiously, like almost every day. And I got to the point where I could use any character on any difficulty, didn't even need the codes because I knew where all the one ups were at.
Hmm.
And I was just playing that game like crazy. And it's still so good. So when people mention it, I literally lose my mind because I'm just like, that is one of my top tier of all times, like favorite games. Like it is such a iconic and legendary series. Um, Streets of Rage 3 is okay,
Hmm.
but two, I just love two.
Yeah, for me, it's always been one, and three was fun because that was the one I played the most with like friends.
Hmm.
But Streets of Rage one, it will always be like my goat. That was my one.
I always remember the first boss being looking like Freddy Krueger. Every time I seen him with the boomerang, he always remind me of Freddy Krueger. Um,
Hmm.
but those twins, oh, they was the hardest fight in Streets of Rage 1. I hated them because
Oh man.
their hitbox and the hit detection was always off because you would try to go punch them and they would flip back.
Yep.
Just
That
like,
game, like that. There are so many. There are fights that I can think about when I was younger, where I would always use like the police assist and just have
mm-hmm.
like the fire rain down because I was like, "Yo, this is getting a little too hard right now." But that game, it just that's the series that made me fall in love with gaming. Like not like full stop. That was the one, and from there, like it just elevated like as the years went on to where beat 'em ups are like my favorite genre of gaming because then you had Double Dragon, you got Battletoads, the Power Rangers movie game that came out on Genesis, not the
Yep.
SNES version, the Genesis version was like
Yep.
goaded to me. Fighting Force on PlayStation, Fighting Force 2, I love both of those games. I wish they would make a Fighting Force 3. And then you had like the games like True Crime come out, which were kind of like beat 'em ups. Then you got Sleeping Dogs, which like was the successor to that. Um,
Sleeping Dogs, one of my
like they,
favorite
those,
all time open world
yeah, it's like
games.
those are the games that I enjoy, like personally. So like in my free time, like anytime like a beat 'em up comes out, like
Mm.
I think the most recent one that I played, like it was not Sifu, even though Sifu is a beat 'em up. It was actually like Midnight Fight Express, I think is the name of it. And that
Yeah,
was on I don't know if it's still on there, but it was on Game Pass. And I tried that out and I liked it. I didn't finish it because Game Pass just is like a cheat code in of itself with all the games that you get access to. And but yeah, I love that game. You got what is it? The Avengers old school Genesis game. Captain
um,
Commando, Alien versus Predator,
yeah.
like the Simpsons beat 'em up. Like who doesn't remember that in the X-Men arcade game? Like just beat
Konami
'em ups
had
were like
Konami
that.
had
Those were
it
the good
live,
games.
had it sold up. Yeah,
Hmm.
Konami was the '90s beat 'em up. Alien
Yes,
versus Predator by Capcom.
that game is
Cadillac and
so good.
Dinosaurs.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. Oh
So,
goodness.
so yeah, so beat 'em ups like that was the genre for me. Like, and it still is to this day. That's the genre for
Hold on.
me.
You never played the Ninja Kids by Taito, haven't you?
Nah, I haven't played
If you
that.
ever get a chance, look that game up. I think your mouth will be on the floor. It's a beat 'em up, but it's something you're gonna be like, wait, what? It's a game that is out there. Me and my brother, we beat it at the arcades, and ever since I played that game, I was just like, I've never witnessed a wacky beat 'em up game like this. Outside of Castle Crashers and
Yeah,
not Eddie Hominin, but mostly like Castle Crashers. Um, but man, yeah. Uh, Goodness, that just takes me back.
yeah, man.
Literally. Uh, all right. Well, what game then kind of got you into the competitive space? Um,
Competitively, uh, you know what? It's not really. I can't really say it's a single game that made me like want to compete
mm-hmm,
outside of like myself in terms of wanting to just get better. Um, because like you have like the legends, like everybody knows, like you got the Ryan Harts out there, you got the Jay Wongs out there, and they are like legendary in status for knowing how to play so many different games. Back then, like you just playing in your neighborhood with your homeboys and down the street and stuff. So I'm out here playing Marvel 2 thinking like, yo, I'm actually cooking people up. And then you get older, like right now. And well, I can say I got introduced to the FGC properly like in 2015.
mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing how people play these games like that I thought that I was good at and how they playing them now. And I was like, bro, I didn't even know like half this like technique stuff existed like that. I'm out here just pressing one button thinking I'm doing something. Um so I want to say like when I got introduced to the FGC properly, which would be it's either CEO 2015 or 2016. It's one of those two. And living in Orlando, like CEO, I got lucky that it was actually here. And if it wasn't for me being a wrestling fan, I would have never like known CEO existed because of
Yeah.
Xavier Woods being was telling everybody that he was gonna be CEO. I was like, yo, what is CEO? I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, let me go check this out. And the moment that I was there, I'm just looking around. Everybody's playing Mortal Kombat, playing Tekken, playing Killer Instinct was still around at that time. And I was I would just got onto like the Xbox One like not too far from that time.
Mm-hmm.
And Killer Instinct was one of my favorite games that I loved playing as a kid. I didn't have a SNES, but my cousin did. And every time I would go visit him during the summer, Killer Instinct, that's all I played. That's all I played. So when I found out Killer Instinct was announced, that's what made me get an Xbox. And then once I got to CEO that year, and I was like, "Yo, people actually like play this? Like they competing for this?" And I was like, maybe I need to like start taking this a little bit more seriously. But being introduced to that environment and seeing like all these people just coming together to just play video games like in a competitive sense, it was like, yo, like this is kind of dope. This is a community. Like arcades don't exist no more, but you bring in this environment and you just dap up with people. The games that you play, they be like, yo, you want to play? You want some games? Yeah, you just sit down and start playing. And it was more of the community sense that made me like actually get more involved with it.
Hmm.
And I want to say since 2015 up until now, like I've just been like hitting as many events as I can, going to as many locals as I can when I'm afforded the opportunity to do so. And just like I'm not trying to compete with these people. I'm just like enjoying the camaraderie around it and learning as I go because I like to be knowledgeable of like what I'm doing wrong or like how can I get better. Like I'm always competing against myself more than I am like competing against others. So like
Yes.
right now with Street Fighter 6, like as fun as it is a very demanding game mentally. Like there's so much that you got to pay attention to and so much you got to learn. Like the game's been out a month and today was the first day that I've ever done like any ranked matches because I was still in the process of learning the proper mechanics of the game. So it's stuff like that where you go to the locals and you play casuals with people there and you start to learn how to play the game properly and like that's the part that I like. Watching the competition is amazing. Like watching high level like anything just
Hmm.
captivates your mind like, "Yo, this is possible. This is how you do this. This is how they see the game." And like it's just mind-blowing to watch these guys.
Well, it's amazing about just even the history of fighting games that people may not realize. Like for a lot of us older gamers, Karate Champ was kind of the birth of it, with Street Fighter becoming the game to really jump the genre off, and then Street Fighter 2 um made it what fighting games really should be about. Then if you go through the history of it, Mortal Kombat had the violent one with violence in it with fatalities. Killer Instinct introduced combos like fast connected, what some people call dial in combos. Retro Fighter was the 3D space of
Mhm.
retro fighting. Bushido Blade was the
Love
one
Bushido
hit.
Blade.
Yes, it was the one hit fighting game and stuff.
Mhm.
And then you go from there, and depending on what fighting game that you was playing, they were adding something to the genre,
Mhm.
and it literally took a while for people to realize that this is what fighting games can be, and then how it can evolve. Because I gotta say, like, Killer Instinct was a game that no one would expect that Nintendo would have their name on.
Mhm.
This was a game that Rare developed. Nintendo paid for it to be developed, and Midway did the arcade publishing. Like, that's so weird that Nintendo would get into the fighting arena space, and then
Mhm.
they end up doing Smash Brothers and stuff, and it's just like it's amazing how, if you go through the history of fighting games, and even just the ones that we don't even know about that's in Japan, you would
Mhm.
literally be surprised just how much even their history has about it and everything. Because I didn't know, like, even just Evil, I didn't know about that competition until almost mid 2000s and
Mm.
everything. And people were just like, yeah, there's a competition called Evil. And then when I seen the clip of the Street Fighter 3 with Ken and Chun Li and the blocking stuff, I was just like, what is this? You know?
Like for me growing up, um, like growing up in the hood, you played two games. You either played sports or you played fighting games. That was it. That's all you played. So if you ain't playing NBA Jam, if you're not playing NBA Live, if you're not playing
Hmm.
Madden, people will forget about Game Day, Blitz, 2K came out, Knockout Kings before it became Fight Night. Like you played
Yeah,
all these, and then when it came to fighting games, it was either Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. When Tekken came out, Tekken was the hotness. Um, and then once the Dreamcast rolled around, then you got Marvel. When Marvel came out, cause like people knew Marvel superheroes, people knew about X
yeah.
Men versus Street Fighter, but it wasn't until Marvel 2 when like everybody was like, "Yo, you played this game? They got some of everybody in here." Like, "Yo, who is this?" Um, and then like when you look at the history of like how some of these older games are just like held near and dear to people's hearts. Like I played World Heroes, but I wasn't like a big like SNK guy. Like I
Right.
played World Heroes because it was available to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is. I played an art of fighting game. I played
Samurai
I don't think I
Showdown.
played Sam. I don't think I played Sam Show back then, but the
Hmm.
latest Samurai Showdown is probably like my second favorite fighting game of all time right now after Killer Instinct. It's just that good. More people should play Sam Show. Can't wait for the rollback. But when you see like people getting hype over Vampire Survivor, I mean not Vampire Survivor,
Dark
Darkstalkers with
Stalkers.
Vampire Savior. There we go.
Yeah.
Darkstalker series, and like I never played Darkstalkers back then. I didn't even know that game existed
So
until
I
like I
knew,
got older.
yeah, I knew they existed, but it was a game that wasn't carried in a lot of arcades.
Exactly.
You it really was kind of like you had to go like to somewhere in Cali or somewhere in Seattle if you was trying to
Mm,
play a lot of those kind of fighting games. Because like here in the Midwest in Illinois where I'm at, we didn't have no Darksiders. But I was reading EGM and everything, and that's how I found about this game. And I'm just like, what is this new fighting game that Capcom has? I'm like, and I wanted to play it. And it took a it what I think Darksiders didn't come to America consoles until what, the Switch? I don't think
wow.
it can. Yeah, Darksiders never appeared on any console. I think until it came to like this generation of consoles and PC.
Yeah, like so like as I've like since I've like gotten into like more of the FGC and seeing like all these games that exist, like
Hmm.
I didn't know anything about Melty Blood. I didn't know anything about Uniclear. Like I knew about Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue because I came
Yeah.
across those early on. I think I had Guilty Gear on PS2, but I didn't know what it was. But I did have it at some point in time because like you go in GameStop at those times and you're like, oh snap, what is this? Oh, a guy holding a sun gun with a sword. Like, okay, that's pretty dope. Go and get it, played it a little bit, but I didn't like fall in love with it. And then you get older and now I come out and people like, oh, they gave a rollback to plus R and all this other stuff. And I was like, yo, people played this game like that back then? And you watching people play this stuff and they just mopping the floor like, oh my god, like people were actually out here with this stuff. And like you
Hmm.
said, it had to be like something with the region because the West Coast in Japan is like right there in terms of like getting stuff in. It was like the easier way to do stuff, similar to like how wrestling is. Like I didn't know Japanese wrestling existed until like a few years ago, but you ask people on the West Coast that grew up and they like, oh yeah, man, we watch Japanese wrestling all the time. I'm like, I didn't know this stuff existed. So
Right.
like to discover like Melty Blood, which is a fun game. I never played any of the ones prior to that. I still haven't played a Uniclear game. Um, I got the Capcom collection with the Dark Darkstalkers in it,
Yeah.
and I'm
Same.
like, I see why people enjoy these games now, and it's just like fighting games are like just incredible. What how so many of them play so differently. Like you said with Virtua Fighter, like Virtua Fighter is probably one of look at the game as punch kick guard, but there's so many like technical intricacies to that game to where it's like you got to know when to press this, how to press it, like the
Mm-hmm.
angles to press it and everything like that. Versus Tekken, where it's just like, oh, you get that counter hit launcher. Okay, then just do your bread and butter right there. Get the wall carry if you got walls on the stage. So it's like it's so many things that you can like learn from so many different games, and this is just freaking amazing to like come across this. That especially because somebody who didn't know about this stuff growing up and being exposed to it now just makes you appreciate like all the people who like put so much time into these games like that much more.
And I think that's why even if even if I had made a list of like my top fighting games that wasn't like Killer Instinct or Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, definitely like Soul Calibur 2 would definitely
Hmm.
be on that list. That one's big. Um, I wanted to say, even though I said you can't add Street Fighter 3 or anything, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, a game
Hmm.
that people people didn't know about and they said it shouldn't fail, but yet it is, to me personally, still to this very day one of the best Street Fighter games.
Hmm.
I haven't played 4, I haven't played 5. I decided not to get 6 because I waited for Tekken 8.
8, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Tekken
waiting
8.
for that new Tekken 8 just looks redonkulous. I'm like,
Mhm.
ooh, this is buttery smooth. And I think something about not get Street Fighter 6 or anything, but I'm like, why does this still feel just old to me for some reason? I don't know. Maybe it's something I need to pick up and learn because it's a new direction for Street Fighter. And I think
I can tell you
when looking at, oh, go ahead.
I can I can tell you right now, Street Fighter 6 is Street Fighter in name only. The stuff that you can do in Street Fighter 6
Hmm.
is just is mind-blowingly like insane because of how they added the drive gauge. Like that changes up the whole game plan and everything that you used to have because you can extend so many of your combos with that. Because it's basically a combo canceller slash extender. Because you're doing one combo, you time it right, bam, you got another combo just going right in after that. Um, but it also lends to your defense and so many other things like that. And then Mortal Kombat 1 is coming out in what, like 3 months or maybe less than 3 months now,
Hmm.
and you see how they're switching it up by making it an assist fighter. So it's like all these games are like expanding on terms of what they're doing. Now you got Tekken where you used to be getting rewarded for playing defensively, and now they're just upping it to where okay, y'all used to play defense. Now it's gonna turn into all out offense right now. So it's like every game is evolving. Strive is basically the first Guilty Gear I played to where like I tried to understand what it is, and I freaking
Yeah.
love playing Strive. The hardest part for me in Strive is like finding a character that I actually like to use, but it's an incredible game. Just like everybody else, like I'm just waiting for Tekken 8 to drop. Um, I buy all the fighting games. Like there's a fighting game that comes out, I'm pretty much gonna buy it if it's available to me. Like I bought Nick Brawl, which is a great game that I wish like would have like taken off even more.
Hmm.
I bought Omen of Sorrow. I bought Phantom Breaker Omnia. Like I didn't even know that was a series, but it came to Xbox, and I was like, "Yo, you know what? Any fighting game come to Xbox, I'm gonna grab it." Because Xbox was like it was abandoned once Street Fighter like skipped out on it. I'm still holding out hope for a new Killer Instinct, but I just love what fighting games bring in terms of like diversity because not all of them are the same. They're all different. They're all their own thing. I wish Dead or Alive would get more support than it has because that's an actual like fun game to play as well. And like it's you just learn to appreciate like when you're at these events and you see like you got the anime community, but the anime community is like spread out into like the Blaze Boot guys, and then you got the Guilty Gear
Hmm.
guys, and then you got the Melty crew. Like everybody plays a different game, and no two games play the same. And then certain games like you'll have a mirror match, but nobody plays those two characters the same. And it's just like that type of diversity is something that you only get in fighting games. And that's what makes it incredible. And I love that so much.
It's it's choreography for gamers. It's a
Hmm.
dance routine for gamers that is just very entertaining because regardless of who wins or loses, you're engaged in just seeing the fight and seeing who is going to pull off what and everything being unpredictable.
Hmm.
But it's all still just a choreographed dance between two people playing these characters and everything. And even characters you think is the weakest or no one really cares about. There's someone who's an expert in that character.
Hmm.
And when you see them in action, you be like, what the I didn't once you start saying I didn't know, that's when you
Exactly.
get more engaged and interested into learning that fighting game and stuff. The proper
That's
the
why.
proper fighting games.
That's why. When Sonic Fox busted out Captain Cold and Injustice, everybody was like, "Yo, Captain Cold can do this," but nobody could replicate the way that Sonic Fox played Captain Cold. And then the one year you had a Bear winning Tekken World Tour, like everybody was like, "Yo, Bear is a low tier," but yet here you go, you got that one person somewhere out there playing a character that everybody's saying is bad, and then they
Hmm.
just gonna show up because nobody knows how to fight this character. I think one of the more recent examples was Mono with Fang and Street Fighter Five because nobody like took Fang seriously. Everybody thought he was a joke character, and here he is. He comes in and starts dominating with the character, and everybody's like, "Yo, like Fang, like Fang might actually be a little bit more legit than we thought." So that's just one of the beautiful things about fighting games. Like, there's always somebody out there that's gonna know how to use a character that you think can't be used.
Exactly. I know recently I think there was a TikTok or a short on YouTube of this guy. He ended up losing and then he ended up like swinging on like the other player and
Oh, that was a
everything.
CEO. I was there. So I wasn't in the vicinity of like where
Uh-huh.
it happened at, but I was like in the venue area, and then all I hear was like, "Yo, yo, whoa, 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 whoa," and I was like, "Yo, what happened?" And then the video started circulating online, and your boy got salty, and I was like, everybody was like, "He's 16 and blah blah blah." I was like, bro, you can't bring that to a competitive environment. Like, you lucky like you're in a big enough event like CEO where like there are more people there to like calm, like to diffuse the situation. Because
Yeah.
if you're at a local event and you do something like that, there's gonna be a fight. There's gonna be cops called. There's gonna be like property damage because you're gonna end up like hurting somebody seriously. And you can be salty. Like, everybody's gonna be salty. Nobody likes to lose, especially when you pay your money to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be mad if you lose. Like, no matter what. Like, I will pay to support versus me competing. That's what I look at when I register for like anything that I do. I look at it, yo, I'm helping to support the community to keep growing. But
Right.
there are people out there who just like think that, what is it? Katana Prime, KP, one of like my favorite dudes in the FGC that I was able to come across. Cause like during the pandemic is when I discovered like more like players and commentators and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But he's the one that always said, you got to remember, half the bracket that comes out, no matter how many people in it, half the bracket is going to go 0 and 2. So you look at what Evo got going on right now. If there's 6,000 people that signed up for Street Fighter 6, 3,000 of those people are going to go 0 and 2. So you got to always keep like reality in your mind, like, and know what your skill set is. Like, I play these games casually. Like I said, today was my first day jumping in the ranked in Street Fighter 6 because
Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning the game. And there are people out there already who has like every character at master rank. So I already know, like, if I signed up to play this game, I'm not going to be able to compete with some of these people out here because, yes, there's one person that was able to do this, but there are also people out there who's using only one character and got them to that level. So it's like I still haven't even like cracked what these characters can do. So when it comes to like competing, if you're going to be a competitor, you have to know what your limitations are because everybody has limitations, especially when
Exactly.
you're not getting paid to press these buttons. There are people out
And
here who's actually getting paid to press these
hey,
buttons.
and I think that's one of the questions that I kind of have for you. Um, it's not the paying portion and the sponsorship, but it's more of the attitude. Like, where does the negative attitude of losing come from? Where you are acting out and you want to fight somebody, or you want to curse somebody out, or and make the other player feel bad and just say things getting out of pocket. Like, where do you think that is birthed from? Um,
Uh, Thin skin, weak mind, undisciplined. And the thing is, like, I've come from a competitive background because I played sports.
mhm,
I played basketball, I dabbled in football a little bit, I ran track. And when when you're actually focused on your training, you become disciplined. Um, when I ran track, that was my like best thing. I would run the 100 and I did long jump. Those are my two things. I would know that if my foot steps over that plank, my jump isn't going to count. I have to know that where my foot placement is as it relates to that plank, I need to be there. I don't care what the distance is that I get. If I make a record jump, but my foot is over that plank, I accomplish nothing.
mhm,
And you may think that you've gotten something done, but then the ref tells you you stepped over that line. You have to learn how to discipline yourself to not be disappointed on the mistakes that you make. Fighting games are the only game genre where you can hold yourself accountable because you're controlling that character on screen. You're the one making the decisions. You're the one pressing that button. The only person that you can blame for your losses is you. No matter how crazy a character is, because I personally I hate fighting against Honda players. I hate fighting against Blanca players because they're like two of the more unpredictable like characters that you come across in Street Fighter 6 right now.
mhm,
Even then I can go back and look at I can look at Killer Instinct 2013 and I hated fighting Omen players and I hated fighting Shadow Jago players because I used Sadira, who was an aerial player, but these are two characters who can neutralize her in the air. The only person I could blame is myself for not learning how to adapt to like how can I get on under this person without them like taking away my aerial abilities. So it's up to the players to actually like discipline themselves before they actually get out there and compete. And for those who can't like learn how to do that, then they have nobody to fault but their own. You can't get mad at anybody else for beating you if you don't take the time out yourself to actually like learn how to do things yourself. Because at the end of the day, I don't care who your training partner is. I don't care like what you do at a local. You're the one that's in control of that player, not the controller. It's not the screen. It's not the console. It's you that's pressing those buttons and making those decisions. And I think that once people become more disciplined mentally to know that, yo, it's all on me, you will see less of that. But I don't know how you can really like force feed that into somebody who doesn't
mhm.
want to hear it. You have to want to be great in order to be great instead of just like wanting to win. I think that's the best way that you could put it. And people should know that winning and losing doesn't mean nothing if you don't want to be great. And that's how I look at it.
I feel like people should train their attitudes in Mega Man. Like,
Oh
literally
my
play,
god.
just
That
go
game.
play, literally go play Mega Man 1 without no guide just learn, because I think the thing about it is that Mega Man is going to defeat you, but you
Hmm.
need to play it so that you can discipline yourself and you can learn patterns. You can learn how to defeat enemies, where to jump, and where to have placement and stuff. Because Mega Man games is really a single player fighting game in a sense.
Mm.
If you think about it, your special moves you have to earn them and everything. You just don't have special moves at the start of the game. You have to earn the special moves, and once you learn and earn those special moves, then you can be able to play the game and you know be able to humble yourself if you die and everything. You'd be like, oh man, I died. Okay, let's get back into this game. I could do it, and stuff. And sometimes, other times, it'd be like, okay, let me see what this pattern is. I always tell people, if you ever play Mega Man 2 and you go to Flashman stage, be ready. Because that stuff is that level is a hard level
Mhm.
and everything.
I
You know,
tell if you really want to learn discipline, play Contra. Play Batman and Robin, the Genesis version. That game, oh my god. That Batman and Robin on Genesis will break you with how difficult that game gets.
it is a struggle.
And like I look, and that's one of my favorite games all time on Genesis. But my god, is that game hard. And play Battletoads. Play Battletoads.
Oh,
If you really want to discipline your mental capacity, play something like Battletoads, a game that was released unfinished and was broken at launch. And this was before patches and anything could happen. And you just had to deal with whatever the game gave you. So like
that.
play games like that. And I think that's where like a lot of like the older generation will like look at a game and like understand like, yo, I have to learn how to do this because we
Hmm.
grew up with games like that. So yeah, if you want to like discipline your mental, play them old school broke games that like had no right being out and being able to be bought because of
That
how
bike
difficult they were.
ride, that bike ride level on Battletoads will
Hmm.
destroy your eyes because
Hmm.
you had to focus. And if you got hit, if you didn't meet a checkpoint, and these levels were almost 5 to 7 minutes long,
Hmm.
if you did not get to a checkpoint and you died, you had to do that race all over again, and you didn't get continues in Battletoads.
Hmm.
Once your game was over, you
That
started
was
from
it.
the first level. That was it. Contra, Contra became well, I guess Contra, not the 30-man code, but I could beat Contra
Oh yeah, without
one.
like I'm talking about play without the Konami code.
Oh
Konami
yeah, I
code
could do
make
that.
Konami code make it easy, but like you play what is it? The Alien Wars on SNES? Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
god.
oh yeah.
Jesus. Like
Let's
Super
rephrase that.
C?
Play Alien Wars on Super Nintendo on hard
Mm-hmm.
to get the true ending.
Bro, like a lot of people like just like you like one of the games that frustrates me the most in terms of current like generation games is
Hmm.
FIFA. The reason I hate FIFA is because I understand how the game of soccer is supposed to be played.
Yes.
FIFA is not a game that is programmed for the game of soccer to be played the way it's meant to be played. So a game like FIFA will make you mad because of teammates not doing what they're supposed to do. You can't control the AI. The AI is going to do what the AI thinks it's supposed to do. You
Hmm.
can blame the devs on that. A fighting game, you can't blame the devs on something on the fighting game. You can only blame yourself. So if you play like something super difficult and you can't bring yourself to go back and play it again, fighting games will not be for you. that's just my opinion on like how I view gaming. Like if you I still have yet to play Elden Ring, but I have it. And I haven't played any Souls game. I started Sekiro. That's like the only one I started.
Hmm.
But I understand how difficult those games are. And I know that there are people out there who say that they can't go back and finish a game like Sekiro because of how hard it is. If you can't go back and play a game like that, you will not be able to like control your mental when it comes to a fighting game because you have to be able to learn. You have to be able to adapt. You got to learn how to keep pushing forward because you may have fight somebody once online and you may have been able to beat them easily, but the next person you come across may not be that simple to beat. And that's where the adaptation comes in. That's where the learning comes in. That's where the discipline comes in. You have to be able to
Hmm.
control your composure. So I think, in my opinion, the main thing that you can do in order to like mentally prepare yourself for a fighting game is to play a game where you just like to learn to like control your like mood and be able to press forward with like difficult situations.
Yeah, it's definitely it's always about the respect. You know, even if you lose in a fighting game, there is going to be someone that can be like, "You did a good job," and that's good
Mhm,
encouragement for him to be like, "You can actually still go further. Just work on I don't want to say crab, but just keep working on your gameplay, working on your skills. You know, there's someone out there who is lesser than you because they haven't started the game or they're having a hard time learning and stuff. And
mhm,
you could be someone who ends up teaching them and everything.
mhm.
Uh, so Uh, speaking of Dark Souls, I always have this discussion uh for people who could play why people could play Dark Souls and stuff, but they can't play Ghouls and Ghosts.
Oh my god. Oh my like that's another game where like if you really like feel like you can discipline yourself playing,
Hmm.
that's a very good one to like try to your mental at. I don't think I've gotten past the second stage playing the Ghouls and Ghosts game because of how hard that fucking game is. And it's literally two hits you're dead. That's it. It's
Pretty
two
much,
hits you're
yes.
dead. So
It's-
play play
I
play old games like that and then come play fighting games. Totally different
I
thing.
got I got mad at Ghouls and Ghosts on Sega Genesis because I got to the end part and it said, "Nope, you got to redo everything when get the special weapon." I was just like, "I got to what?" And the special weapon is questionable content because I was just
Mhm.
like, "This is not doing nothing." I'm like, you know what?" I turned the game off. Be like, I got far enough. I see everything that I
That's
need to
it.
see. I'll watch it later on in life and
Yep.
everything. But like I'm always humble. Like I get my tail beat in Smash and
Mhm.
I crack up. But I love playing like, getting my tail beat even in Mario Kart. I have fun with
Mhm.
that and stuff. And I know I'm not the best at competitive games, but it's the engagement that I'm having.
Mhm.
It's the talking. It's the funny stuff that happens. I'm about to win, and here go a blue shell that just blew me off the stage, and one of
Yep.
my friends win, and it's just like we're putting the controller down and we're cracking up. It's always that fun engagement. Like if I ever gotta get to a competitive level, that's a lot of time and focus
Yep.
that I would have to put and work I would have to put in, and I could do that and everything, but I'm like I don't want to miss all these other games that's coming out and everything. But I'm going to root people on, and I think that's why it's important that we've been talking about esports and having more visibility
Mhm.
for it because I'm like we hear about these events but we don't get to see them. Like I don't even think ESPN promotes them. A lot of video game websites don't promote it, and I wish they did. I wish we were able to treat it almost on a hype level of a Nintendo Direct or something. That we could be like, oh, y'all getting y'all snacks ready to watch Evil? They about to clown the Street Fighter. Let's see who. I want more of that, and I just don't see that. I wish there was more of it.
I think like right now when you look at the bigger events, Combo Breaker, CEO, Evo, you got Evo Japan now. Overseas you have Biennality, which is a big one.
I've
I
never
think
heard
there's
of
one.
that one.
Yeah, Biennality overseas is a big one. Think Clash of the Olympians is pretty big. That's one that's held in Greece. We're starting to get Africa represented, even though one of the biggest things that's always contentious is that there's no servers in Africa for people to like play online properly. So they're always like
Hmm.
bouncing off of like different I think European servers or whatever. Um but there's the international aspect of esports in general, not just fighting games, but just esports in general. It leads to having more sponsorship opportunities. And I'm not talking about just for players, I'm talking about for these events to be held. Like right
Hmm.
now, Chipotle is a big sponsor of Street Fighter 6 right now. They were giving out free tokens, like in-game tokens for ordering Chipotle. Um I think CEO had a sponsorship with Amtrak, and you were able to get a discount to catch the train to get to CEO from Orlando, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So
nice.
some people will like fly into Orlando and then catch the train over to Daytona, if I'm not mistaken. Um, there's I think when it comes to like the sponsorship side of things, I don't think the advertising will ever get there because if you remember a few years back, they put Evo on ESPN. Evo is like the WrestleMania of fighting games. The
Yes.
viewership, the viewership for Evo on ESPN on a primetime slot during the weekend did terrible numbers as it relates to what you would want on TV at that time. People were tuning in and like, why is ESPN showing video games on my screen and all this other stuff? And one of the things that you got to realize is that Evo and fighting games in general are a very niche group.
Hmm.
Overwatch is huge. League of Legends is huge. None of those games got that opportunity to get on that stage of ESPN, but fighting games did. So it wasn't like the attempt wasn't there, but
Right.
the mainstream has to accept it. And that's always going to be like the big thing. Can the mainstream actually accept the fact that like these things are worth watching? Can they really appreciate the time and effort that these people can are putting in to be great at these games? Can they really appreciate the effort that it takes to play these games at this level with this much pressure on you? And I don't think that the stigma of video games will ever like be looked at as something that's serious, like football, like basketball, like baseball, where people seeing like legit like athletes who look like they should be playing this sport versus some like regular kid off the street just holding a controller. Like they're not going to get that same visual respect that a actual pro athlete would, even though these guys are actually training in these games like athletes. So
Hmm.
I think that that the stigma of video games is just for people to like just press buttons has to be broken in order for that to like actually happen. It's gradually increasing. Like right now there's a tournament going on in Saudi Arabia for Tekken right now, and they're playing for $1 million prize pool. So granted, this is Saudi money, so Saudi can afford to do this, but not everywhere else can afford to do this. And plus, it's an invitational.
Right.
Invitationals will always get like those big sponsorships, like Red Bull, like this thing that's going on over in Saudi Arabia right now. Um, invitationals is where the money is at. If you remember, what was it, E League that they had on TBS, like
Mm-hmm.
those did numbers, but you have to get on a stage to where I think invitationals could be the thing that breaks through and like make these things like popular.
Yes.
But in terms of like open bracket style, like you would see like ECT, which is East Coast Throwdown, which has which is another like big one. They have like the dopest prize too. You get like a record plaque that looks like a platinum selling record with the video game on it.
Nice.
It's such a dope ass trophy, like you could just hang up in your house. But when you see these events and you see what the TOs are doing behind the scenes to make these things look as presentable, to put on the show that they do, like one of the big things now is like them having their own custom soundtracks for their events. Like it, there are certain things that the TOs are doing to like bring more exposure, to bring more mainstream, to make their stuff more like appealing to like the more casual audience. But the casual audience has to buy in,
Mm-hmm.
and without the casual audience buying in, like no matter how much like you try to like present a product to somebody, that audience has to buy in. So it's like you got to find some way to make these people look at this and say, "Yo, this is something worth checking out." I don't know what I don't know what you can do in the grand scheme of video games to make that appeal happen, let alone fighting games, which is already like as niche as it is. Cause like think about it. 6,000 people right now is the estimated number that signed up to play Street Fighter 6. The game has been out a month and 2 million people have bought that. So take 6,000 out of 2 million people who've actually bought this game. You're already at a very small number of people who are actually signing up to actually play this game competitively. And like I said earlier, out of those 6,000, 3,000 of them are not going to be good enough to even win a single game. So the
Mm-hmm.
number shrinks even more. So it's going to be very difficult to get like the mainstream casual audience to buy in on something like that. And what it's going to take, I don't know. Will we ever see it? I have no idea. A lot of people don't like celebrity crossovers, um, because they feel like it devalues like what people are trying to do as it relates to the game. But I'm like, yo, if this is bringing in eyes to the product, if this is going to get somebody to tune in to like see
Mm-hmm.
something going on, like I can tell you right now, one of the things that happened in wrestling, you bring Bad Bunny into WWE. Bad Bunny is the number one guy on Spotify. He brought more eyes to a product on a nationwide scale, on an international scale, than wrestling had ever had before. If you tell these people that Bad Bunny is going to show up and sit down and play Street Fighter against Daigo, people will tune in just because it's Bad Bunny. They have no idea where Street Fighter is, but because Bad Bunny is going to sit down and play this game, they're going to watch.
Oh yeah.
So you might have to get some type of like crossover appeal like that in order to get it. But what TO out there has the money to bring in somebody like Bad Bunny to like sit down and play a video game for like 30 minutes? Like, it's not one of those things that you can easily just like say, yo, we can do this. So it's gonna take something like that in order to bring eyes to the product. What it will be, I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure that if you get like the right backing,
Mm-hmm.
Evo would be the best stage out of any of them that could do it, especially because now that they're backed by Sony, because Sony owns Evo now, or a part
Yeah.
of Evo. Maybe they could throw some dollars towards somebody on their like movie like sets or whatever to come in and do something. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take something of that scale to bring eyes to the product.
Well, before we wrap up, I got three questions I gotta ask you.
All right.
First, first question: what is your favorite snack? or breakfast meal or dinner or whatever. Like what is that thing that energizes you eating wise? Whether you about to play a game during the game or like after you finish a good like practice or good set of playing games, you got to get your snack on. Like what is that one snack?
If I had to pick one snack, I am a baked goods like fiend. So if I have like a cupcake or a slice of cake or like a donut, or even though
Hmm.
donuts are fried, I don't care. Like if I have something like that, it's gonna like just set me off. Like, cause those are like my favorite things. Like I love baked goods, fresh cookies, anything like not the
Mm.
pack, not like Oreos. No, I'm talking about like something straight out the bakery where it's like the cookie looks like the size of a paper plate. Like that's the kind of stuff that I like.
We got Mrs. Fields cookies and oh goodness, those soft chocolate chip cookies,
Hmm.
mwah, and everything. Okay. Second question: what is a bad fighting game to you? Like, or what makes a bad fighting game? And would you ever go to a tournament of bad fighting games just to see how people play them?
I would definitely go watch a bad fighting game tournament because terrible fighting games make for great entertainment. Um, I have seen plenty of them. There's this one group called Vortex Gallery,
Hmm.
and they literally hosted a it's a big community thing that they did, and they allowed different people to host their own tournaments and stuff. So one of the games that they had was this pixelated dinosaur fighting game, and
Primal
they were like,
Rage? No.
no, it wasn't primary. It was something I never heard of before. And like the dinosaur was like there was like a T-Rex that was green and there was a Triceratops that was like purple, and they were just fighting each other. And it was like the weirdest looking thing. It was like some, I don't know if this was PC or
It
16
has
bit
to
or
be.
what,
Yeah, it has to be
but
PC because I'm like, other than Rampage, I really don't know.
this game, like the the Triceratops got this guy in the corner, and like he knocked him in the air and he just would not let him come back to the ground, and he just killed him. And I was like, yo, this is like the most messed up thing I've ever seen. I have never played any game like that personally, so I couldn't really answer like what is a bad fighting game, but I have like heard stories and I have seen like plenty of examples of bad fighting games. But in terms of me playing any, the worst fighting game I think I have played personally. Hmm.
You
I
haven't
would have
played Rise of the Robots.
Nah, I haven't.
Okay.
Uh it'd be hard for me to like think like off the top of my head like what was the worst fighting game I played.
Shaq Fu.
I'd have I'd have to go. Oh, Shaq Fu was bad. Shaq Fu was. I would like if I'm going off the top right now. It'd probably be Shaq Fu. Outside of like some like random sports game, like some random like
Mm-hmm.
boxing game. I guess the old UFC games kind of count, the Pride FC games, because they had health bars.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
those were pretty damn broke back then. So I'm gonna go with one of those. I know there's one of them out there that's pretty bad. Whereas like you can just come in and hit somebody twice and kill them. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna go with one of those.
Okay. And last but not least, Black Gamer League
Mm-hmm.
throws a fighting tournament, and
Mm-hmm.
you get to choose three fighting games. What are you choosing?
Killer Instinct, Samsung, and Street Fighter Six. Easy,
Oh wow!
easy. There's no debate. There's no question. There's nothing that can like deter me from that. Those will be the three games that I would put out there. And I think that those 3 games would provide you with the most variety of what you would see on screen. Like, I'm not a tag fighter guy, so, like, I know,
Mhm.
like, there would be people out there that would wanna see, like, Dragon Ball FighterZ or whatever like that, but if I was to host a tournament, if it was my own personal thing, those would be the 3, but if I wanted to cater to, like, the grander audience out there, you have to go with the big 3: Guilty Gear, Tekken, and, Street Fighter. You would have to go with those 3. Those will be the ones that bring in the most people, but if I'm doing one personally, Sam Show, Killer Instinct, and Street Fighter 6.
All right. Well, Blaze, thank you. Where can people find you, and how can they get involved into the Black Gamer League?
Well, you can get on Black Gamer League. We have a Discord. I want to make sure I get the right title for the actual Twitter because I know it's abbreviated sometimes. It's BLK or Black Gamer League. So yeah, so for Black Gamer League, it's BLK Gamer League. You can find us there on Twitter. Uh, I want to say it's the same on Instagram as well. I don't know if we're on Threads yet, but everybody's got a Thread account now. If you're looking for me, Blaze187Ace on any platform. I pretty much like have that thing on lock. I should trademark it by now. But if you look up Blaze, the numbers 187 and then the letters ACE, that's how you find me on any platform. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, like any you type that in, you're gonna see me.
All right. Well, Blaze, thank you for joining me for the spotlight, having this discussion about
Mhm.
fighting games. Truly, I learned a lot. Once again, she's a rage, everybody. Just
Streets of
that's why
Rage.
I passed out. The moment you said that, I got giddy. And you showed the box. Like people who gonna watch this video who know me know how hard I love Streets of Rage and everything.
Streets of Rage is the one. It's
It
the
is the one.
one.
I can't believe you got that collectors for Xbox. I don't know. Because I don't think li- no limited run didn't make it, did they?
I don't think it was limited run. I think it was it might have been. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I don't think it was limited run because limited run barely does anything for Xbox.
For Xbox, yeah. Now I need to
I
find
think
me a
no.
copy.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I bought that from. It was a distributor over in the UK because I had to pay international shipping for it. That's how I
Oh
remember.
wow!
I had to pay international shipping. So yeah, like I said, I love Streets of Rage. I paid international shipping in order to get that. So that lets you know how much I love it. I'm named after a character from that game, and yes, she is that girl. So
She
yeah.
is that girl. I love Blaze so much. Oh, we gotta
Mhm.
talk about this another day. Uh, but thank you, Blaze. Everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Boss Rush Spotlight. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support. The Boss Rush Podcast is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. This show is produced, written, and directed by me, Corey Dierig. My co-hosts are Stephanie Klimov, LaRon Dawkins, and Edward Varnell. You can find Stephanie at Klimov_author on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on the EXPcast. You can find LaRon at Exodus803 on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and also on Crossroads, the video game podcast. You can find Edward at ThatRetroCode on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting Nintendo Palblock. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamCoreyInHD, and find me hosting Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and co-hosting Nintendo Palblock. Find the Boss Rush Podcast on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.